So here's a question I get asked a lot. There's all these altcoins, they seem to be moving. How do I pick the right ones? How do I find those crypto gems that are going to go up in price and be safe about it? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in today's video, and stay tuned to the end because I'm going to show you the number one thing to look for when you're choosing an altcoin to buy in this bull run that's coming up. Let's get started. This is Crypto Intel. My name is Max. When you see so many altcoins on the move, which ones do you pick? Well, there's a number of things you can do to make sure that you are getting in on the right coins at the right time. And the first thing you need to look at is, what is Bitcoin doing? Because Bitcoin is the one that rules the hen house, so to speak. If Bitcoin is on an uptrend, in a up market cycle, and then kind of takes a rest, that's when the altcoins start to move. So for instance, if I want to look at Bitcoin here, let me just go to Bitcoin. You can see that Bitcoin broke out of its accumulation range here, had a jump up, had a little bit of a pause, had another jump up, another little bit of a pause, another jump up. Every time it pauses like this is when you're going to see some of the altcoins start to run. If we're in a bull market, and we're just starting in a bull market now. So in November of 2023, if that's when you're watching this, we are starting into our cycle bull market right now. So if you see Bitcoin like here, you can see it's having an accumulation right here. It's ranging. It's just kind of pausing. This is when you want to start looking at Bitcoin. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, when you're picking an altcoin, you need to look at different narratives. Now, I follow a couple narratives, and right now, for instance, I look at gaming. That could be one narrative. Gaming is something where there's a lot of talk on YouTube, there's a lot of talk on X or Twitter about the possibility of gaming really coming back strong. And you can see that, let me just pick one here, Immutable X. This is something that in recent times you see that it had a pretty good accumulation range right here. You see from way back in beginning, almost at the beginning of the year, well, around half of the year, in May, up until the beginning of this month, it was ranging up and down in this range here. Now it broke out. It broke out at the time when Bitcoin was kind of pausing. So that's when you want to try to look at what altcoins. Now, what do you look for when you're actually trying to pick an altcoin? Well, there's three things that I like to do. Number one is, has it had a run in the past cycle? So if we look at Immutable X, we just kind of stroll out here. You see that, okay, this looks like a pretty big move here, but if we actually look back at the life cycle, you see it went all the way up to almost $6, and right now it's at $1. So it had kind of a move. If I look at something like this, Nakamoto Games, you can see that, it looks like it's jumping up here a bit, but again, you look back and you can see that it went all the way up to $7, and right now it's only at about $1. If we look at something in the L2s or L1s, no, let's do the L1s here, what I call active watch. Something like Solana, you can look at Solana and you can say, look, this thing has really jumped up a lot, right? It's gone up, but wait, first thing to do is look at the big trend. And you can see in the last cycle in 2021, Solana was at $255, and now it's at $50. So if you feel like you've missed out, really, have you really missed out if it's going to go up? Now, here's the thing. When an altcoin has had a cycle before in the past Bitcoin bull run, these are all levels, and we can put a couple different levels here. These are all levels that the price is going to have to fight through. These are places where people held on to the coin and didn't sell, and when it gets here, they're going to be at break even and they're probably going to sell. So it's going to take a lot for coins that have had a big cycle to get up and get to where they were in the last cycle. Now, that's not to say that they won't. And coins like Solana or Ethereum have a much greater chance of doing that. But when you're buying altcoins, you have to take that into consideration. You have to understand that coins that have had a big run in the past cycle are going to have some impediments as they are moving up again in this cycle. So that's one thing to consider. Now, another thing to consider just when you're starting to pick an altcoin that you want to invest in is to actually look at, number one, where is the volume on the exchanges? You can look at something like Masari here, where you can put in like Solana, like we were looking at, and it's going to give you the basic information. What is the real volume on a 24-hour basis against its market cap? You want to see that the volume is big enough so that when you buy the coin, you're going to have an easy time to buy it and to sell. That means that the volume should be a good percentage of what the market cap is. All right. So in the case of Solana, you have over $1 billion of volume every day, but something dangerous. It means that you might not be able to get in and out the way you want to. So you need to look at that. The second thing is you need to understand if there's any, landmines or things that are happening in the news about this altcoin that might affect the price. So for instance, I was looking at WorldCoin. WorldCoin had a nice breakout right here. You can see, let's just draw this. You can see that it was trending up. It broke out at around the $2 mark. It went up, and now it's coming back. Okay, and it's retesting this breakout. So that might be a good entry point. If you miss this entry point right here, this might be a good one if it starts going back up. Now, if it goes below this breakout level, if it starts going below that, then you need to place, if you're going to buy here, you need to place a stop here under the last low here, to protect yourself. But there's been some recent news about the CEO and the founder of WorldCoin, that he got ousted. So that might affect the price. You need to be aware of what's going on with these type of things before you make a choice of your altcoins. Now, in the beginning I said, what's the main thing to look for when you are choosing an altcoin? And that main thing is, what is it doing versus Bitcoin? Okay? Because right now, in the beginning of a cycle, Bitcoin is the one that's going to go up the fastest. Everybody goes to Bitcoin first when we start a bull run. Then they start going to these major altcoins like Ethereum or Solana, things like this. And then finally, money will start flowing into some of these other altcoins, like this WorldCoin here, for example. So what is, like for instance, WorldCoin, what is that? I'm interested in buying this, say. It's Bitcoin. So if we look right here, so you can see that right now, WorldCoin versus Bitcoin is basically flat. It's kind of doing the same thing. When Bitcoin goes up, it goes up. When Bitcoin goes down, it kind of goes down. It's not doing that much different. Now, if you look at something like Solana versus Bitcoin, you can see a much different story, because Solana, for the past, since, I would say the beginning of October right here, you can see that Solana versus Bitcoin has been going up much more rapidly. When Bitcoin goes up, Solana goes up much faster and much higher. So you want to look, and that's called alpha, you want to look for the alpha on the altcoin Bitcoin pair. You want to, when you're searching for an altcoin, like for instance Solana, you put SOL, you can put SOL USD and find a chart on that, but you also want to do SOL BTC, and you want to find a chart that is showing Solana and BTC as a pair. That's going to give you the clear idea of what that coin is doing against Bitcoin. Okay, so this is probably one of the most important things at this point, at the beginning of a bull run. When you start investing in altcoins, you want to be able to make sure that there is alpha against Bitcoin. Now, how do you make a choice of when to enter? Well, there's really 2 or 3 different ways, okay? So let's stay with Solana as an example. The first way is on what's called a breakout. So you see here that Solana, since early March all the way up until October, Solana was in a range going from about, well, here, let's do it on the USD chart. See, it's in a range. So it's going from about $25 down to about 19, back up to 25 or so, down to 19 again, back up. And then all of a sudden, in around the beginning of October, that's when it broke. It broke above this range. That's called a breakout trade. So what you want to do is, if all the other criteria are being met on the altcoin of your choice, if it has a breakout like this, this is a good time to buy. So you enter right here, you put your stop loss below the previous low, which is right here. So you enter here at say $26 roughly. You put your stop loss below here at 23. See this? At 23. So if it's a fake breakout like here, you know, you would have bought here, you put your stop loss here, well, it would meet your stop loss, and that would be a lost trade, okay? You would lose some, but not a lot on that one. In this case, it happened to do it, okay? So that's the first way to enter into an altcoin, on a breakout. The longer you have accumulation range like this, the longer it is, the better the chance that when it does break out, it's going to really move like Solana has here. Now, suppose this happens and you missed it, and you're all, I want to be in Solana. Well, what's the next way to do it? The next thing to do is to look at what's called a retracement. And what you do here is you get your fib tool right here, your fib retracement tool. You click on that and you put it where it broke out, and you drag it up to where the top is. If it's starting to move down, you have to wait till it starts to move down. You see how Solana went up to here, now it's starting to move down. And what you want to do is look for something around this area, the 0.5 right here, 0.5 or the 0.618 or even lower. So this area here is the golden retracement zone. If it goes up and it comes down into this area, that's a good place to enter. So that's the second way on a fib retracement. On a retracement of a nice run, it comes back down roughly about halfway or so, and then you can get in again. It's a little bit too soon here for Solana to do that, but what you want to do is look at coins that have had a breakout, have gone up and are now starting to move down lower, and then look for that retracement around the 0.5 to the 0.618 area. And then the last way is on a big move down, a 20 to 30% dip. So in Solana here, you see right here, it was at about 38 at one point. Let's just measure this dip here. It started to move down. You see, this was a 30% right here. See, it was at 38, and in the space of 1 to just about 3 days, it dropped 30%. That's dip buying. That means it's a good opportunity for you to buy the dip. Now, here's the caveat to that. You don't want to be buying dips when we're still in a bear market, because like here, in this case, it still went down. Now, eventually it went up, but when you buy a dip, you have to be willing to risk that it's going to take some time. In this case, if you bought this dip here, you bought it around the middle of November of last year, and it wasn't until January of this year that your dip buy started to move up again, okay? So dip buys are good opportunities if they're around 20 to 30% and happen fairly quickly within a few days. It's a good opportunity, but when it's still a bear market, it's going to take longer. If you have dips in more of a bull market, the dips are going to come up a lot faster. Now, this is a smaller one, but you can see that Solana was at 64 and went all the way down to 50. That's about, I don't know, 15% move or something. Let me see. About a 20% move, okay? But you see that this dip, it went down and then very quickly, within the next 2 days, went back up. So when you're in a bull market, the dips are going to be a lot faster and they're going to jump up quick. So that's why it's better to buy dips when we're in a bull market. And how do we know we're in a bull market? Bitcoin will tell you. If Bitcoin is moving up, we're in a bull market. And if there's higher highs and higher lows in Bitcoin, then we're in a bull market. As Bitcoin goes up and kind of steps up, that's when you're going to want to look for altcoins. So these are the three ways to enter into an altcoin. What you want to do, just to recap, is the altcoin moving better, faster, and higher than Bitcoin? That's the main thing to look for as we are starting this bull market. Does it have good narrative to it? Is it something that people are talking about? And are there other coins that are doing the same thing or relatively the same thing? These are all the things to look at. So that's it for today. If you like this video, please give us a like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.